Tonight, you do not need to listen to every word. You can let the rain do most of the telling. It is falling on a roof of thin wooden shingles in a narrow back alley of Edo. Not a storm. Nothing dangerous. Just a long, patient rain tapping on wood, slipping from the eaves, and finding its way into the dark channels beside the houses. 300 years from now, this city will be called Tokyo. But tonight, there are no trains, no electric lights, and no glass towers. There is only a row house, a small room, and a carpenter named Gen, waking before dawn to the sound of water. There is nowhere he must hurry to.
And there is nowhere you must go.
The room is still dark when Gen opens his eyes. For a while he does not move, he listens.
Rain has many voices in a wooden house. On the roof, it is a soft, close whisper. At the edge of the eaves, it gathers into drops, each one falling with a heavier note. In the alley, water runs beneath the boards in a low, steady murmur.
Gen lives in a nagaya, a wooden row house divided into small rented rooms. Several families share one long roof. The walls between them are thin, and so are the wooden shingles above. In dry weather, the building seems light enough to breathe. In rain, every piece of it seems to speak. There is a faint tapping near the earthen entryway.
One drop, then another.
Gen sits up and folds his bedding away from the sound. He places a shallow bowl beneath the leak. The next drop lands inside it with a quiet, hollow note.
Talk!
He wakes.
Talk!
The leak is small, it can wait for daylight. Through the wall, a child turns in sleep. Farther down the row, someone slides open a door and closes it again. Then the whole nagaya settles back into the rain. Dawn comes without sunlight. The room changes from black to grey, and the wet alley outside begins to appear. Water shines on the packed earth. It runs toward the narrow drain that carries rainwater away from the houses. The shared well stands under a small roof, its rope dark with moisture. On a clear morning, the alley would already be busy. Buckets would knock against the well, doors would open, peddlers would call from the street beyond the gate. Today the city wakes slowly. The tofu seller's wife steps out in high wooden rain clogs called ashida. Their raised teeth keep the hem of her robe above the mud. She holds an oiled paper umbrella and crosses the alley carefully, placing each foot on the firmest ground. Gen greets her from his doorway. She looks at the bowl beneath his roof and smiles as though the leak is an old neighbor.
Every long rain finds one, she says.
Gen looks up at the ceiling. The water is not falling straight down from the place where it entered. It has traveled along a piece of wood before finding the lowest point. Roof leaks often do that. The drip tells you where the journey ends, not always where it began. He moves the bowl half an inch. The next drop lands in its center. Talk. A young apprentice arrives after sunrise, wet at the shoulders and breathing hard from his walk. The master has covered the timber at the work site, he tells Gen. The exposed frame will be left alone today. There is indoor work for another morning, but no reason for every carpenter to cross the city through steady rain. Gen nods and invites the boy beneath the eaves. The apprentice closes his umbrella and turns it slowly, so the water falls into the alley, not into the room. Gen gives him a dry cloth for his face and a cup of hot water. They stand for a moment without speaking, watching rain strike the wooden rail. The boy is young enough to be disappointed by a day without work. Gen is old enough to understand that wood has its own weather. Timber takes in moisture. It gives moisture back. It swells and eases, tightens and relaxes, never enough for an untrained eye to see, but enough for a carpenter to respect. A joint cut without attention to the season may fit perfectly in the morning and complain years later. Good work does not mean forcing every day to behave like a dry day. Sometimes good work means covering the beams, closing the toolbox, and waiting. The apprentice drinks the last of the hot water. Then he opens his umbrella and disappears into the grey street. Gen listens until the raised clack of the boy's rain clogs is gone. The toolbox waits beside the wall. Gen brings it into the middle of the room and opens the lid. Inside are the tools that built his life. Saws, chisels, a wooden mallet, the ink pot and line, the square and the plane. Wood and iron. Handles polished by the hand. Blades bright at the edge and dark along the back. Rain is not kind to iron. Gen unwraps each blade and studies it in the grey light. He wipes away the dampness that has gathered during yesterday's walk home. He passes a cloth carrying the thinnest film of oil over the metal, enough to protect it, not enough to make it slippery in the hand. Then he checks the wooden bodies and handles. A tool is a small building. Iron must sit correctly in wood. The handle of a chisel must be firm. The blade of a plane must rest at the right depth and angle. If the wood around the iron changes even slightly, the carpenter must notice. Gen lifts the kana, the Japanese plane, and sights along its oak body. He taps the blade once with his wooden mallet. Not harder, just enough. He tests it on a short piece of cedar kept for this purpose. The shaving rises slowly, pale and unbroken, and curls beside his knee. It is a little thicker than yesterday's shaving. Gen adjusts the blade. He pulls again. This one is thin enough to move when he breathes. Outside, the rain keeps time. Inside, the plane answers with one long, soft sound. Shh. By late morning, the bowl is half full. Gen sets down the plane and studies the leak again. He does not climb onto the wet roof. A carpenter who respects wood also respects rain. Instead, he looks from below. He follows the ceiling beam with his eyes, then places his fingers against the post and feels for coolness. The damp trail leads toward the outer wall. Under the eaves, protected from the heaviest water, he raises a short ladder and checks the edge of the roof. The wooden shingles overlap like small scales. One near the lower edge has lifted slightly. Perhaps it dried and curled during the last hot week. Perhaps the wind found it in the night. Gen does not try to finish the repair while water is still running over it. He marks the place in his mind. When the roof is dry, the damaged shingle can be secured or replaced. For now, he returns the ladder to the wall and empties the bowl into the alley drain. The tofu seller's wife watches from beneath her umbrella.
Found it? She asks.
Found where to begin, Gen says.
That is not always the same thing.
She laughs and the sound is bright against the weather. The bowl returns to its place. The room is safe. The bedding is dry. Nothing more is required from the roof today.
Talk! Talk!
The little leak becomes another clock in the house. At midday, the smell of cooking fills the row house. Smoke rises gently from the small stoves in the earthen entryways. Rice warms. Miso dissolves into soup. Someone toasts a piece of fish, and the smell travels through every thin wall as though the whole Nagaya has agreed on one meal. Gen eats near the open door. The rain has softened, but the sky remains low and silver. A neighbor brings him 2 pickled vegetables in a small dish. Gen sends back a shaving of fresh cedar for the neighbor's child, who likes to wind the pale ribbon around her finger and watch it spring open again. This is how a row house holds together.
Not with privacy. There is very little of that.
It holds through borrowed bowls, watched children, shared news, and the quiet knowledge that someone will hear if you call. The rooms are small, but daily life moves beyond their walls, into the alley, around the well, and beneath the single roof they all depend on. For a while, nobody calls. The child plays with the cedar shaving. Gen drinks his soup. Rainwater moves along the drain, carrying a small yellow leaf toward the street. The city beyond the gate is muffled and far away. In the afternoon, the rain becomes a mist. Doors slide open along the Nagaya. Bedding is checked. Umbrellas are leaned against the wall to drain. A broom moves water and leaves away from the well. Gen puts on his own ashida, the high rain clogs. They feel awkward after ordinary sandals, but they lift him above the soft ground. He walks to the end of the alley and looks up. The roofs of Edo shine darkly under the wet sky. Water falls from hundreds of eaves. Farther away, beyond the houses, the canal is the same color as the clouds. A shop boy hurries past, carrying a bundle beneath his coat. A woman closes a paper umbrella painted with the name of a dry goods store. In Edo, some merchants lend umbrellas when sudden rain catches their customers, and the painted name travels through the streets like a small moving sign. Gen turns toward home. He has gone no farther than the gate, but the room already feels warmer when he returns. The lamp has not been lit. The warmth comes from the cooked rice, the dry bedding, and the tools resting clean inside their box. He closes the lid. The sound is quiet and final. Tomorrow, if the sky clears, the beams will be uncovered. The apprentice will arrive too early. The saws will begin their whisper again. but today belongs to the rain.
Evening comes early beneath the clouds.
Gen lights a small lamp. Its amber glow reaches the bowl, the folded cloth, and the dark shape of the toolbox. The drip from the ceiling has slowed. Tok. Then a long silence. Tok. Through the wall, a mother tells a child to settle down. A pot is rinsed. A door closes. One by one, the small sounds of the Nagaya become fewer. Gen empties the bowl for the last time. Only a little water has gathered. He wipes the earthen floor and places the bowl beside the wall, ready if the rain returns in the night.
Then he spreads his futon.
Above him is the long roof shared by every family in the row. Thin wooden shingles, beams, posts, clay, paper. Simple materials carefully fitted. Not silent, not perfect, but enough to keep a whole alley of tired people sheltered from the weather. Gen lies down and listens. The roof no longer sounds like many separate drops. The voices have joined into one soft hush, broad and even, covering the room and the alley and the sleeping city beyond it. Nothing important happened today. A bowl caught a leak. Iron stayed dry. Rice was shared. The timber waited. And now the carpenter can wait too. The lamp goes out. The rain continues quietly over old Edo.
And you may sleep beneath it. you.